Okay, so I wanted to start off asking about how you became involved in the movie, what really interested you in your character and just the overall story as well.
Um, as an actress, I went through the traditional audition process. I was called in by my agent. I auditioned for it, and it just felt so. There's some roles that you go out for, and you feel very. It feels like a character you could easily fall into. It feels very natural, and that's what I loved about Lisa. Lisa was one of those characters that I could relate to. She was someone who was strong. She was someone who wanted to stand up for people who were, as I say all the time, being bullied. She was a voice of reason. So it was just so easy to fall into that character and bring life to her. David Marmor, he wrote an amazing script. There was an amazing cast as well. So when I got on set, it was just really easy. The environment, oh, pardon me, that's created on set oftentimes, I don't think people realize how much it really does influence the production. Pardon me, sorry. Influence the actors, the actors, the entire cast and crew, and it was just a very super cool, laid back set. The director and writer David Marmor, as I said, including the producers, they were awesome as well. They were very open and willing to talk, answer any questions I had. So it ended up being a really, really fun project. The little indie that could, as I like to call it.
And speaking of getting to work with David as the writer and director, I also wanted to ask about that. I was able to speak with him back in June when the movie was first released on DVD and Blu-ray and VOD. So I wanted to see what that experience was like of getting to collaborate with him and just working with him on your character of Lisa and just the story as well over it.
Yes, say it one more. You just want to know how it was working with him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, it was, David Marmor, this is a project he's worked on for a very long time. And whenever you hear about a project like that and someone's gone to the drawing board, come back, done so much research to really create a project that is a passion project, not just something that they're just trying to get the big bucks for, but for a passion project, something they really care about, you have to respect that when you come into the scene as well. And he just really, as I was saying, created a really, I guess you could call it a safe environment, a conducive environment for, being able to pull out what tools I was tapping into. There's some scenes that get really dark. So really just giving me the time to breathe, to take it in, to have my moment, to connect, and not, try to force you into just their vision. I think it's really important when you're writing to but to be also leave room for the actors, to really bring that character to life. And he did such a great job doing that. It started off in the film festival circuit. We had a super fun trip up to Montreal. Love Montreal people. What's up? And then a lot of people don't know, the initial release was on Amazon. Big ups to Amazon. They're doing amazing things too. And then when it was released on Netflix, more eyes. I guess, a lot more people are streaming because of the pandemic. So it just took off. Took off. So I'm so happy for him that his passion project got the eyes on it and the respect and the accolades that it really did deserve.
And getting to, speaking of getting to go on the film festival circuit, like you just mentioned as well, I also wanted to ask about that experience in particular and really getting to go out and share the movie with audiences before the pandemic did start and getting to see it in theaters with viewers in that aspect as well.
Yeah, I love that film festival circuit aspect more because I'm not saying anything's wrong with the big Hollywood red carpets or anything like that, but there's something about film festivals that bring out those really true, genuine, diehard fans. And especially when it comes to films, like horror, you just have some like, you know, horrors or thing, they'll come, you know, to the festival in costume, or they'll come, you know, with props. They'll come with, I mean, questions, you know, they're not scared to question a movie. And I think that's really important versus just saying, oh, okay, this movie was, you know, on the scale of 1 to 10, it was this. I mean, people really appreciate the movie, I think, on so many different levels when you are in the film festival circuit. And it always just feels like a family reunion, you know, because there's so many people who are putting their passion projects out there, something that's so intimate and private to them. And they're able to talk to other people. They're able to talk to people from indie filmmakers all the way up to big filmmakers. You know, there's these great mixers that they have, and I just feel like it's a little bit more laid back, and people have great conversation, and it's I feel like it's more genuine. You know, you could open up and reveal, be a little bit more vulnerable versus when you're at, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not knocking Hollywood parties at all, but you know, oftentimes when you go to those bigger parties, you feel like you're kind of boxed in a certain area of what you can say, who can I approach, what questions can I ask them, am I going to come off like a fangirl, you know? But at a festival, what may seem like a fangirl in Hollywood, it's just you genuinely showing respect for, you know, the creator, the filmmakers, and wanting to ask questions because you're so intrigued by something that they created, you know. So it's, I love the film festival circuit. It's amazing. If you've never been, go. I know you've been, but everyone else out there, if you've never been, go.
Yeah. And also speaking of like the Netflix and Amazon releases as well, I also wanted to follow up on that aspect and having those digital releases now, especially during the pandemic. Did you feel that that was an important way to go, and also having like the Blu-ray and DVD and during this time so audiences can get to see it at home if they didn't see it at a film festival as well?
Absolutely. You know, we're just in a completely new generation. I mean, well, it's been for, you know, over a decade now, but you know, over the past decade, streaming platforms have just created different avenues, and I think broaden the spectrum of films that you could see versus, you know, prior to that, you know, a lot of it was just renting DVDs or just going to the movies, which is still a great experience. I'm not going to undermine it at all. I mean, I miss going to the theater since the pandemic, you know, and I'm sending so many prayers out to these movie theaters that have to close down, you know, from big ones to mom and pops, you know, they put their heart and soul into that. So my prayers and thoughts definitely go out to them. You know, but the streaming platforms, it's I think it's just kind of made something, figuratively speaking, that was a neighborhood into a global aspect. And it gives so many other people the opportunity to watch it. And now you have like the watch party things, you know, combined with social media. So people are doing like watch parties on social media talking about it. You know, they have all these different apps, you know, extensions you could add on to have a watch party with you and your girls, and you could talk about it, you know, or your boys, or yeah, you know, they, whoever, babe, you know. And it's really one of those things where I think the streaming platform it's it's the next movement. I mean, it's already here, you know, and I just think it's going to grow from this point. I still, you know, I'm a lover of vintage things, so I still love DVDs. And everyone out there, make sure you grab a DVD. Actually, I think they just pressed some limited vinyl as well for the soundtrack. Ronan, he killed that soundtrack. It was amazing. So I still love some of those older aspects of going to the theater, you know, and be quiet, get off your phone and stuff like that, you know. But I think the streaming platform has opened up opportunities to a lot more people who wouldn't have had the same opportunities in the past.
And I also wanted to ask about getting to work with your co-stars on the film as well, and what that experience was like of building the characters' relationships with your co-stars too.
I love them. I mean, it was, I mean, Nicole Brighton Bloom, Booski, you killed that boo. But you know, she was just so into the character, and she did such an amazing job of bringing excuse me, life to the character, and and moments that really call for stillness. She's so amazing at being able to express um, the inner thoughts, so to speak, in a very beautiful way. And then combined with the amazing cast, I mean, we have Naomi Grossman, who I love. Sorry, pardon me. She's amazing. Oh, sorry, I have like a frog in my throat. So if you hear me coughing, I apologize. But you know, Naomi Grossman, American Horror Story, she's just fun on and off set. We weren't really shooting as much, but when we went to Montreal, like we just like connected at the hip, and she's like hilarious. I love her to death. We have Taylor Nichols, who's on Perry Mason. If you haven't seen that, you gotta watch that. He's so pure, so just a really awesome. It's funny because Naomi and I helped him tape a couple auditions when we were in Montreal, and just being able to sit there and watch how he worked, I learned so much from that process. You know, Clayton Hoff, who plays Lester, oh my gosh, he's amazing. His wife, props to his Brazilian wife as well. She came up to Montreal. He's an amazing actor, and they're an amazing couple. You have Giles Nathy, you have Ernestine Phillips, oh God, Susan Davis. Oh my God, why do I feel like I'm forgetting someone? I hope I'm not forgetting. But there's so many awesome, you know, actors that were in this project. It wasn't just a booking, it was school for me. Because it was an indie film, you know, there were times I was able to sit behind the camera and just watch people work. And I learned so many things from watching them that I just feel like I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful and thankful to have the experience and to be surrounded around such amazing actors. Like that is really, and on an indie film, that was definitely a gem. And I would say that's the biggest thing that I take from it for sure. I miss you guys and the awesome producers, everyone, the cast and crew, everyone was just fabulous, darling.
And speaking of getting to be behind the camera, also, are you interested in pursuing maybe producing or directing, or besides acting in the future as well?
So, you know, it's funny because I'm a member of Women of Color Filmmakers. In addition to another organization, Carabenia Creatives, two amazing organizations composed of female filmmakers. And there's November 13th, mark your calendar, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. We have our 2-year virtual anniversary celebration, and I'm still nervous and I really don't want to talk about it too much, but I put together a visual poem, and I'm still in the last steps of editing and doing all that, but it really is something that comes from my heart, and I'm so happy that I'm going to be able to share that. And the biggest thing for me was doing something and letting go of perfection, you know, just saying, you know, this is a process. If I ever do want to get to the point where I am going to be a filmmaker one day, I have to be willing to start from somewhere. And if there's anything I could tell anyone, just let go of that perfection. Yeah, at the end, you may want to perfect certain things that need those special touches, but just delve into it and just do it. And what I love about this is it's such an abstract short film. It's really going to allow me to express myself, and I really look forward to sharing it with, you know, the world. And I hope that people are inspired by it and just, you know, get to see the inner me that oftentimes I don't open up and show too much. You know, I'm a Scorpio, so I'm a little private, you know. But I also have a lot of fire in my chart, so I also kind of like, when I do share, I'm just like, take it. You know, but yeah, so I'm really excited about that. There's some other than with Carabenia Creatives, we're working on an anthology series. I'm super excited about that. It's so powerful. And there's another project I'm working on, which is a superhero film, which I can't talk about too much. But you know, I really wanted to be careful that I wasn't doing too many things. But you know, oftentimes as you go through life, and your energy is your essence kind of starts sprouting more and more, you know, and And sometimes we go down certain paths that lead us to our true path. And I've been writing ever since I was young. You know, I've been shooting crazy little videos and clips even before like YouTube. I mean, like on video cameras and stuff. So, you know, I feel like as I'm delving more and more into the filmmaker side of the industry, it's so therapeutic to me. And I will always act, and I love acting. But I feel like there's something about the filmmaking aspect, especially now that I've taken on this short film project, that I'm really loving, and that I'm like, wow, this is, all these other flowers were out, but this little flower, it was just kind of blooming the entire time. And now I feel like it's blossoming. So I just, you know, hey, my lips to God, your lips to God. I just really hope that, you know, we get a lot of eyes in these different projects, but not just to get views, but to inspire people in a time where people really do need inspiration and something to take them out of, you know, what's going on around them.
And also with 1BR, I also wanted to ask about getting to shoot in LA and with the story set there. What's that experience been like? Just in general as an actress overall, do you like being on location? And especially with this film, what was that experience like overall as well?
Yeah, no, yeah, being on location, I think is definitely fun, you know, especially the crafty. I'm a foodie. But just kidding. But I do love crafty. Props to crafty. A good meal will keep you going through a long day. Let me tell you. But yeah, no, definitely. I love being on set because, you know, once again, when people see the movie, they oftentimes just see what's in front of the camera. But I love being on set so I could learn what's going on behind it. You know, what's going on behind the camera. See how the cast and crew work. The crew works so hard. I always commend them. I always give props to them. The stunt doubles work so hard. They sacrifice their bodies. You know, the people whose property you use, they're sacrificing their property. You know, so there's so many aspects that go into it. And for an actress who is stepping into the filmmaker arena, it's something that I see, like, even, you know, from the first thing I shot after college, like I just always wanted to stand behind the camera and just look through the lens, you know, see what was going on behind. And now it makes sense because it's a machine, you know, and there's so many different aspects that go into it. And if there's anything I really cherish and I take from this filmmaking experience of that the filmmakers did in 1BR, is really learning how to utilize what you have. If you look at the movie, there's not a lot of shots, you know, there's a combination of certain locations, you know, there's stock footage, you know, LA, stuff like that, some other shots that were taken. But this movie really showed me that you can shoot an amazing film with very few locations, you know, so being able to, because oftentimes too, that's something I'm learning when you're writing, you really do have to keep the budget in mind. And someone who has a super vivid imagination, I can write some big budget things, you know, but you really have to start tapping into the producer mind, you know, and what can you really do? And yeah, maybe you could always shoot over and you may get a bigger deal than you expected and add in those different aspects. But that's something I'm learning, and that's something I really do appreciate. People who are able to write with that in mind. And David Marmor did a great job of that. You know, like I said, the cast, the crew is amazing. The locations we use, I mean, people were in those apartments, so thank you guys so much, you know, for being patient. To the dog that was endlessly barking, we love you. But yeah, no, it was a great experience, and it was a learning experience, not just, oh, I just want to come in here and act and just, you know, but it was an amazing course in indie filmmaker and how to get it done.
And you also mentioned
with a little bit.
And you also mentioned the stunt doubles as well just now, and I also wanted to ask about, in general, just your experience doing stunts and with this film, creating the physicality for your role and what you really like about that, especially with horror films like this one, what you really like about working on your physicality and stunt work as well.
So I'm a former athlete, so naturally I wanted to do all my own stunts. I was like, oh, I could backflip. I could do this. I mean, not that she was backflipping. I pretend like my head was hitting the door. But you know, Tiffany, who was my stunt double, and there's always a stunt coordinator on site as well. She was amazing. Big props out to her. Follow her at Tiffany Stunts. She, you know, she did scenes that people were like, oh, I thought that was you, like when like my head was hit, or like I don't want to have any spoilers, but at the end, you know. And other times when they were like sharp, I mean, like scenes that you wouldn't even think, like you're like, no, I could do that, it's just a pointy object, and it's like, no, they have to have a stunt double because if something goes wrong, you know. So I have so much respect for them. I played basketball. You know, I've always been this feminine tomboy, as I like to call it. And so I really do look forward to doing something that really challenges me and makes me, you know, I would love to do, you know, when they have the balls all over them, the 3D, 40 imaging. I would love to do, you know, any projects where I could be wired and be flying and doing flips. Hey, I'm putting it out there. I will be working on a project like that one day, you know. But in regards to this film, like I said, big props to the stunt doubles. They really put their lives at risk. And people think, oh, that was just one little thing. No, like one little thing, you know, like for instance, your head getting hit, that could, you know, it could hit you too hard. You could have a concussion. When you fall back on your back, you could herniate a disc. I mean, there's just so many different things that go into it. So know, if you're ever on set or if you come across a stunt double, man, give them their flowers now, because they deserve it. They literally put their bodies at risk to pass as us getting injured or in a certain situation, you know. So yeah, one day I know I will work on some films. I'm already visualizing it. That do really push me physically. This film, it pushed me physically for sure, but I think it was more a mental push because of the circumstances, because of the claustrophobic environment, because of the scary yet realistic. That's one of the scary things. Like, this could really happen, you know. Things that she was going through, confinement. I don't want to give too much away for in case people haven't seen it yet. But it really pushed me mentally, and you know, the stunt doubles, they were able to step in when it came time to push physically. So thank you.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate you. Everyone have a happy Halloween. Thank you so much. Make sure you check out 1BR. You can follow me at Celeste.Sully and grab a DVD as well. Collectible one day.
Great. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You
Bye.
too.